What you got?
What did it feel like to be back on the sidelines calling plays?
Yeah, it was weird. It was weird. It was weird coming out of the wrong. It seemed like I was coming out of the wrong tunnel there. But once they're out there, the crowd was awesome, and you know, you kind of forget how much the crowd plays a part in Boise State home games, and definitely played a part in that game. You know, they were great. It's loud. It's loud down there even when we have the ball, let alone when the other team has the ball.
You were mostly retired just a couple of weeks ago. I mean, what's it like now to be back in the back in the driver's seat and dealing with all the day-to-day stuff? And what convinced you to come back?
That's a complicated question. Well, you know, I was just kind of helping out before. Like I wasn't full time at all. I was around here, and I mean, you know, basically I got to know some of the guys. But my son plays here, of course, so getting to know the players, getting to know the coaches. So, you know, when Andy asked me to do it, I knew it was going to be a big lifestyle change, because in this business you're kind of all in or all out, and I was definitely riding the fence on all out, mostly out. And so I mean, why did I do it? I did it because I felt like I could maybe make a difference and maybe help, and feel an obligation to the program, definitely feel an obligation to Andy and the coaches and the players that I know, and I don't know all of them, an obligation to them.
Dirk, you had 6 days to do what you wanted to do and get this offense ready for a game. What did you want to change or address immediately that would put you guys in a position to have success last Friday?
You know, everybody has observations of the team that they're not on the inside of. And again, going back to, I was kind of inside and outside, but you know, I wasn't going on the road for road trips, so I was watching those games on TV. I was hearing what the announcers were saying. I was still playing golf 3 days a week, so I was hearing what people on the street were saying. And you know, there's some truth in what's being said, and there's some fallacy in what's being said. And I just the main thing was just that as an offense, that offense was underachieving in the first few games, and no team wants to underachieve. I mean, I learned a long time ago that all you can ask of a players, of unit, a team, is to achieve up to their talent level, and that, you know, the offense was not doing that, and we didn't do that in the first half last week either. But if this group of players just achieves up to their level of talent, the rest of it will take care of itself.
With the short time that you had last week, what, in terms of the X's and O's and getting this offense ready for one game on Friday night, what were your priorities?
Well, my priorities were, the terminology was just way different. And again, I was here some, so I knew a little bit of it. And along those lines, just in general, the offensive coaching staff did a great job of helping. Like, they did a great job of coaching, organizing, teaching me, making adjustments at halftime. Those guys did an awesome job. I can't thank those guys enough for that. You know, we found out the day after. My days got kind of mixed up there, but you know, originally thought that the quarterback situation might have been different. Once the quarterback situation became clear that it was going to be two guys that hadn't played very much, at that point, as a quarterback guy, I'm thinking, what can those guys handle? So you're trying to narrow it down. A guy that's got a lot of experience versus got two guys with very little experience, you know, don't try to do too much. And how do we attack San Diego State, yet give them enough different looks, and you know, not screw ourselves up in the process.
From the start of the game until the end of the game, where do you think Green improved the most?
Oh, I think he just calmed down. You know, I think he was a little nervous, and rightfully so. You know, heck, I was a little nervous too. So, you know, when we knew going into the game that we were going to play Sam some, and Talon was aware that we were going to put Sam in the game, and I had no idea how that game was going to go, what direction it was, so I'm pretty sure those guys didn't either. And you know, we struggled on offense early. You know, like we got a little bit of a movement that first drive, and then we threw the interception, and you know, that's not how you want to start. Our defense bailed us out multiple times there in that first half. The fact that we were only down 13 is probably, you know, just to be able to go in the locker room and say, hey, we're just down 2 scores. Now, I know with the way we've been playing, 2 scores seem like 20 scores. But, you know, the other thing is because we were so poor, or we ran so few plays, I mean, you guys see a call sheet. We try to keep our numbers of plays down, but if you're not running any plays, you're not finding that rhythm you're looking for. You're not finding what's working because we kept going 3 and out, or turning over, or get a penalty or something. In the second half, the biggest difference was we found what worked, and we just kept doing it. And you know, you do anything until they stop it. And they basically, we were basically on a 5-play rotation, and they couldn't stop it.
What have you learned about Talon and the time you guys have worked together? And same question about Sam.
What have I learned about them?
Yes.
That they're both awesome kids, very willing to learn, very willing to listen. You know, so technique-wise, I mean, if I was starting from scratch, there would be some stuff on both of them I would try to fix. But that's one thing about me having experience in the NFL is I'm a lot looser on some of that than I was when I was a college coach. When I was a college coach, hey, we're doing it this way. I just can't fix some of that, or fix isn't the right word. I can't ask those guys to change some of those things right now because we got to get ready to play games. But really impressed with all the quarterbacks in the room, being willing to listen, being willing to learn. This offense does put a lot on the quarterback. We try to take some of that off, but you know, defenses are just much more sophisticated today. Our own defense is a perfect example of that. I mean, quarterback has to be able to operate at the line of scrimmage.
How do you, from the first time you met Tatum, on and off the football field, what was your first impressions, and how would you describe your, you know, the evolution of your relationship all the way up until the 3-minute, 5-minute conversation you had at halftime on Friday night?
Yeah, freakish athlete. I mean, you can see that right off the bat. I mean, Davis came home one day last year, and you know, they wear those GPS things, and told me Talon was the fastest guy on the team. And you know, when you think of a guy that's at least 6'5", whatever he is, 210 or whatever he is, and the fastest guy on the team, that's pretty impressive because there's some fast guys out there. The other thing, I just think that from last spring to where Talon came into fall camp, he did some work over the summer. Like, he made a big jump between spring and summer because you know, I kind of thought Sam might beat him out for the number 2 spot, but Talon definitely played better than Sam in fall camp, in training camp. Now Sam, after the season started, Sam was on the scout team, and Sam started getting better again. He started playing more like he did in spring. You know, just Talon, I go back to just his willingness to learn and listen, and you know, Talon sees himself, he sees those guys in the NFL. I mean, he's not a dummy, and so he knows that to get where he wants to get long term, he's going to have to improve in some areas.
Describe that, maybe that halftime conversation was as simple as just keep the damn ball and run, or
No.
obviously it was a little bit more detailed than that.
That would have been a good coaching point, but that's not what it was. Well, I mean, again, I think the quarterbacks were first wondering who was going to play in the third quarter, and we just said, hey, we're going to start back with Talon, and Sam will probably go back in, and that was the plan. But the way things unfolded, you know, it wasn't really an opportunity to sub it again. But I think Coach Avalos probably has already mentioned. I mean, we're planning on using both guys from here on out, and I don't know what that looks like. That could be a week-to-week thing, and you know, we'll just see how that goes.
You kind of said you were on the fence and thinking about this. I mean, you're 9 days in now. You're back in the grind of it. I mean, are you happy you did this? You having fun again? And I kind of say this jokingly, but when it was almost halftime and it wasn't going well in the first half, were you kind of wondering what you got yourself into?
Yeah, I was looking at my wife in the loge and thinking about drinking a Coors Light or something. No, I mean, the grind part of coaching is real, and I mean, this is year 40 for me doing it, and that's why I wasn't doing it anymore, because I'd had enough. but this is a short term endeavor, and you know I can do my part, and asking those guys to do theirs, they did that last week.
Dirk, just kind of another way of asking that, I guess. I mean, we've asked you about the why. You've been in this game for 4 years. Talking with Davis last year, he loves the game because it's all given your family. For this to potentially be like your last time where you're involved in football in this capacity, what does that mean to you? And you mentioned this is a short term. Is it just a couple month thing that you're providing help for this?
Yes, it's just short term.
100%.
This is a young man's game. This is a young man's game. These guys, if you knew how hard these guys work with the whole recruiting thing, transfer portal, NIL, I mean, this is a young man's game, and I'm not a young man.
Dirk, how did it feel? It's the first time you've been a part of a college victory since '06. I know in the NFL it feels like a relief sometimes when you win. You don't have time to process it. What was it like for you in the locker room, hugging people, enjoying that win?
Well, I really enjoyed watching the pure joy and smiles on the players and coaches' faces. I really enjoyed that. I mean, I hadn't seen that in a long time because the NFL's not like that. I mean, singing the fight song, and they have a lot of rituals here that they have a lot of rituals that they do that are pretty cool that I hadn't seen. I really enjoyed watching that, but the coach part of me was already thinking about what next week was going to bring. You know, that you enjoy it, you know, 24-hour rule, win or lose for 24 hours, and then you're back on it.
What did you do to make this offense more simple for Taylor on, you know, only 6 days or whatever?
Well, all of the plays that we ran in that game, give or take, were already in the system. You know, they have a lot of plays, and you know that's what training camp is for. You install a lot of stuff, and you know you might let's just use 100, 150 things, and then you pull out of that library what you're going to use that week. So some of those plays that we're seeing, just you know, might not have been the best fit with the previous quarterback, and so Taylor hadn't played that much. So you know, when Taylor went in the Oregon State game, most of his big plays were just him scrambling around, and then he made a couple nice throws down the field. So now these were more designed read plays. They'd practiced them before, going all the way back to spring and training camp. And then, as I said before, the reason I didn't know they were going to work that good. You know, I didn't know that. For all I know, that would have looked. You know, we were trying to find it in the first half. We were mixing. We were trying to go our play action, our run game, our 3-step. We were trying to do all that stuff.
So on that read, is it just Taylor looking at the one defensive end and deciding if he's going to keep it in the belly of the running back or pull it? Is that all it is?
That's one variation. There's some different variations of it. That's one place where college football. Wow, I mean, trust me, I'm learning every day. That's not my area of expertise, and that's where again I'm going to go back to the offensive coaches. What an awesome job they did adjusting and adding. It's just after we found it, we stayed with it, and there's different variations. We have more variations. We haven't shown all of our variations, and part of that's based on what kind of defense you're playing against.
Thanks, Coach.
Okay, you guys have a great.